Good morning. This is on Psalm 58. We're looking at a precatory psalm. It's when you really want to get back. You're asking God to make proper judgment because sometimes we recognize people are not making good judgments in this life. So, David wrote this. And he's calling for righteous judgment. The idea here is that sometimes rulers don't rule well. Rulers sometimes, judges especially, he's referring to, judges sometimes don't look at things fairly. They're not doing justice to the law. And David is asking for that to happen. Shouldn't judges judge fairly? I think our system in the United States is a good system. I have a feeling there are a few judges out there that take the law into their own hands. That's unfortunate. But justice is what God really wants. God likes equity and fairness. He does not, God is not going to look at you differently than he looks at another person. God does not look at people differently because of their color, because of their status. God doesn't judge differently based on their income or how many gifts they've given him. He doesn't judge by how long you've known him. God is not unfair in his judgments. And we find a lot of these kinds of ideas are throughout Scripture. Justice is an important feature. And we find it in the New Testament as well as in the Old. And the bottom line is God doesn't show favoritism. He doesn't show favorites. It doesn't matter if you're a son or as his daughter or if you're his enemy or if otherwise. God is looking for justice. And he has created a system he wants us to judge by. And David is yearning for that. He's wanting people to show fairness and to show that you shouldn't show favorites when it comes to justice. When it comes to justice, those who are favored would be those in keeping with the law. So we don't want injustice, and David has a criticism of judges seem like they're just dreaming of injustice, ways to be unfair, of doing their own thing and creating their own way, creating their own devices. And I think we see that sometimes in politics. Sometimes we see that in certain senators or representatives. Sometimes we see that even in our presidents, or sometimes we see that in our own lives. Might see it in preachers. Oh, I pray that I am fair, that I'm not showing favoritism, that I am doing things rightly. That is my prayer for me, and I would ask that you pray for me, Doug Beatty, in that same line. David is asking that the judges be fair. And he's asking that he breaks the teeth of the cobra, because sometimes judges just act like they're gonna bite down and really snap on people, and they're like snakes. Wicked are. They're sneaky, they're deceitful, and their bite stings. And David is asking God to break the teeth of these snakes. That when they shoot their arrows, that their arrows would be blunted, to take the teeth out of the lion, sort of thing. And when the righteous rule, when judges rule with righteous judgment, the people rejoice. They love to see that. That's a proverb. Chapter 29, verse 2 of Proverbs goes along with this, Psalm 58. David really wants the righteous to thrive, and he wants judges to be righteous. And in the end, I think we'll see righteousness done by God. And God doesn't show favoritism. He's looking for people who want to be, want to show the heart of God, or have the heart of God, to listen to God, to want to be fair like God is. And God is looking for people who believe in Him. Revelation chapter 19, the first few verses, I think, illustrate the righteous judgment of God when He condemns Babylon. And actually, rejoicing happens. There's a bunch of alleluias when the evil are brought down. And that's always the case. It would be a good thing for that to happen. But this is an imprecatory psalm. That's what David really wants. He wants the righteous to rule. And he says in the last two verses, I will read, "The righteous will be glad when they are avenged, when they bathe their feet in the blood of the wicked." Yeah, that sounds a little weird, but back in the time they were doing that. "And when men will say, 'Surely the righteous still are rewarded. Surely there is a God who judges the earth.'" And there is. And we need to make sure that we're on the right side of justice. We need to make sure that we are friends of God and doing His will, His way, that when we stand in front of that judge, we're ready. Because we believe and we've accepted His will here on earth as it is in heaven. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time on the next Psalm.